Now, another good way to approach the exegetical process is look for the development of your idea in the passage. In other words, look for the flow of thought. I sometimes call this the movement through the passage. Now, let me give you kind of a structure to help you unpack or discover the movement or the flow of thought in a passage. And I'm going to begin with a narrative passage because narrative passages will illustrate this just a little better. And narrative passages always follow the narrative structure, which we also call plot. And plot or narrative always follows this structure. Number one, situation or problem. Number two, complication, or the problem gets bigger, more complicated. And then number three, resolution, or in biblical terms, we just say good news. So look for that structure in a narrative passage in particular, and then I'll say a little bit about non-narrative passages as well. So here's an example. Luke 19, Jesus and Zacchaeus. Situation. Jesus is coming through Jericho. Zacchaeus wants to see Jesus, but he's a despised tax collector and he's short. So he runs ahead of the crowd, climbs a tree so he can get a good look and listen and observe whatever he can about Jesus. That's the situation. Now here's the complication. The complication is all the people are waiting to see Jesus. And they think they deserve to see Jesus more than Zacchaeus, because after all, Zacchaeus is a criminal. You know, he's a cheat. He's extorting the people. And so they have a bit of a self-righteous attitude. We're better than Zacchaeus. That's the complication. It's a subtle but necessary complication to the narrative. And it serves to heighten the tension. It serves to make the story more interesting and give it more texture. Now here's the resolution. Jesus stops, invites Zacchaeus to come down from the tree. He says, I want to have a conversation with you. Let's have a meal together. And then Zacchaeus repents of his sins and his greed. And he says, Lord, I'm going to repay all the people I've cheated. I'm going to give money to the poor. And Jesus says, today salvation has come to this house. That's clearly the resolution. That's where the good news of the gospel shows up. Now, let me give you a non-narrative passage. Okay. So let me refer to 1 Corinthians chapter 8, where there's meat being offered to idols. Should I eat it? Should I not eat it? Okay, let me give you a bit of a sketch there of the flow of thought. The question is put to Paul, my neighbor's having a barbecue. He's inviting me to share in this barbecue, but I know that the meat he's offering me has already been sacrificed to an idol down at the pagan temple. That's the problem. Here's the complication. What about a new Christian or a weaker Christian who's not matured yet in their faith? How will they respond if they see me eating this meat that's been sacrificed? Will it cause them to stumble? Will it cause them to walk away from the Lord? What do I do? I have this liberty, but I'm concerned. So the resolution is, Paul says, yeah, you know what? You can eat that meat. It's not going to hinder your personal relationship with God, but it may hinder your relationship with your community of believers. So Paul says, this is someone for whom Jesus died. Don't do anything to cause them to stumble. And so limit the exercise of your liberty and your freedom by love and concern for the weaker brother. So there you see the flow of thought. Problem gets bigger, resolution. Situation, complication, resolution. And then, of course, when we get to preaching, we're going to add the fourth part, which would be application. But this segment, I'm talking to you about look for the movement or the flow of thought in your passage of Scripture. If you can break that down, it will help you understand the passage more clearly. And then you can communicate more clearly as well. This is Fred, and this is a Fred Talk. Thanks for watching.